Recording on this end. Okay.
Us too. Okay. Hello, and welcome to another episode of Hanukkah Erotica Book Club. I'm Raizel, and I'm joined by my co-host and stepsis, Malya. Hi, Mal.
Hi.
Wow, it's been a while.
It's been a little while, and it's been like it's the holidays, so it's been very action-packed weeks.
It has, and I can't wait to catch up.
I know, I'm happy to be here.
So since our last episode, we've had, what's a new year?
It's a new year, 5785, I think.
I agree. Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, the brisket. I just can't wait to talk about everything.
I have to say that I feel like our brisket conversation on the last episode really influenced my life. Like, I had no plan. When we had that conversation, I really thought my brisket chapter was closed. Like, I've been through so many years of making mediocre brisket, and I was just done with it. I was just like, I'm not a person who makes brisket, and I'm at peace with that. But then something about our conversation, it reignited something in me, and I was like, I have to try this again. So like a fool, I bought a brisket, first cut. The only smart thing I did, first cut, I was like, listen.
Back it up. Where did you buy the first cut brisket?
On Fresh Direct.
Fresh Direct. What?
Fresh Direct. Fresh Direct has actually pretty nice quality kosher meat, and they had first cut brisket that was available, delivered and walked up the 4 flights of steps to my door.
Wow.
It's like my white whale. I don't know what to say. I feel I'm constantly seeking it, and I was like, I'm just gonna, it's like, I don't know what it is. Like, I don't know what the metaphor is, but it's like, however many times I mess it up, each time I'm convinced anew that I can just do it again. Like, I don't know.
Did you call my mom? Did she walk you through it? What did you do? How did you prepare it?
I have called your mom in the past. I wrote down her recipe that she told me. So I consulted that, but then I also I was like, I'm going to do first cut like she said. And also I'm going to read general brisket tips on the internet and see if like I can try something new and different. And what I read was like that everybody says that you can't overcook brisket, but that actually you can. And that really you should do about an hour a pound, which is consistent. Your mom doesn't have that rule of thumb, but that's generally, it sounds like more or less what she does based on the instructions she gave me. So I was like, I'm just going to do an hour a pound. I'm going to do a small brisket. And
I'm dying that you dove right into this. Just like, this is obviously just like you're bursting at the seams. Like I'm bursting
at the seams because it turned out shitty again.
Oh no. Okay. Did you have she told me she mixes onion soup mixed with water. She told me that, and cranberry sauce.
Here's the thing. The flavor was very good. The flavor was good. It's the texture of the meat.
It was tough.
It wasn't tough. Like, listen, my kids ate it. They all said they liked it. It wasn't inedible. It was fine.
What you wanted melt in your mouth, Bobby. First cut is the deepest.
But it was first cut. I'm saying it was first cut. I don't know what to say. It was steep. It had the stuff on the top, and I pushed it in. It was covered with stuff.
Did you hear this very important tip she shared with me?
No.
Which is that you cook it the day in advance. Then you slice it cold.
Yeah, I did all this. Yes.
You did it.
Yes, I did. I cooked it a day in advance. I sliced it cold. I reheated it. I hit I don't know what my problem is. I help me.
Wow.
Or maybe don't. I mean, maybe this is just a lesson. Like, quit. Some things don't happen for all of us, and I should just go to our parents' house and enjoy that brisket as much as possible is what I should be doing.
Yeah.
The end.
Okay.
So, I'm really hoping that's not a harbinger for 5785 is all I have to say.
No, I actually think it's the opposite, because what I think is that it's super cool that you were re-inspired to try something again.
By our conversation, I really was.
To sing another song, you Dust yourself off and try again.
I
You
did. I
can,
did that.
okay, you did
You're right.
that.
You're right.
That's
Thank
cool.
you. Thank you.
You could have given up. You let
You're right.
our silly little throwaway conversation change the whole course of your Rosh Hashanah.
I did. I really did.
That's cool.
Not really for the better, but I
But the
I
kids ate
did.
it. That the kids ate it, and that's a win.
Yeah. No, it was eaten. It got eaten. Like this only smart thing I did was that I bought a small first cut. So like first of all, I was only out like $40 instead of $80. And
120, yeah.
also or that. And like it wasn't, the worst thing would be then I have like 6 pounds of shameful tough brisket in my freezer. But I didn't. It all got eaten. So it was really fine. Did you have the brisket? Like how
I had the
did
brisket, yeah.
damn. Sure it was great.
I had it. It was very good.
Mm,
It was very good. For Rosh Hashanah. Yeah.
fabulous. Good.
Except there was
I'm
something
happy for
that
you.
wasn't on it. There was an ingredient left out, maybe because of your dad. Something, a good one was left out.
Oh yeah, he
Maybe
has like
prunes or
right.
something yum. There was something slightly different.
Your mom's very diligent with that stuff.
Yeah. It was, yeah, she said that's good. That's a great thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, something was left out. It was still yummy. The chicken was great. The
Awesome.
chicken soup, Rosh Hashanah, whack-a-doodle-do. She would agree. I don't
Why?
know. The pasta, she put in noodles or something, like something that I think she thought that Vinny and Jonah would like, but it like
Ah.
thickened. So the chicken soup broth was like thick,
Mm,
like very thick. Like it didn't seem, something seemed like what happened to the soup. But it's
I
because
hear
the
you.
pasta, like it got very thick. The flavor
Like
was great,
dissolved.
but it was like, yeah, but it was very thick. The chicken soup, the next time around, maybe that was for the pre-fast meal.
Mm.
That was good. That was good chicken soup. My mom thinks the best ever.
She does make good chicken soup. Oh, you went there for pre-fast? That's nice.
Pre-fast also good chicken soup. No brisket that night. They were going light, low sodium, easy to fast food. No brisket.
Smart.
Okay. Well, I'm still excited that you tried again, even though I know that you feel like a big fail because I don't think this
Listen.
is the end. You think it's the end, but
I
by the way, I
feels
do what
for
you
me
do.
it feels like the end, but
Okay.
I don't know. I thought that was the case already, so you never know.
You never know. But a couple other things, which is that I looked at Zabari's high holiday or Sukkot menu on
Oh
Instagram.
yeah. Yeah.
I mean, he is not an official sponsor, but I'm salivating just thinking about it.
It sounds really good. We're ordering he has that pot roast and he was like he really like he's like one of those chefs, like he describes the food at length. Like I saw that, like I saw the line about pot roast, like I'm sold. He's like, no, but and I put in a bunch of carrots and they're really nice and they have the tip still on them and I put in this and I put it. I'm like, say no more. I
Literally,
got it.
say
But he like
less. You had me
he
at pot
really
roast.
totally. But we're getting that pot roast for second days and hopefully some hummus and salads. We're going to take it with us to New Jersey. So I'm really excited about that.
Sounds great. Sounds great.
Yeah, that menu looks really good. There was also
Yeah.
something about a chicken on that menu that looked really good, like Lebanese chicken. I don't even know what that
Yum.
is, but it just sounds great. Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be great.
Hmm.
Okay. There was some feedback about our last book
Oh, what was it?
that a lot of what we experienced about the Syrian community in the book, people that have intimate understanding of the Syrian community kind of feels like it's pretty accurate.
Oh, wow. Geez. Okay.
I know. But that there's a rice sifter or some kind of device to make the rice the search for the rice and the chametz easier.
Okay, well
Okay.
that's reassuring. I mean, that's just that. Yeah, you were right. That was torture. That sounds torturous, but that's good.
Rice on the kitchen counter, yuck. And in general, were your holidays good?
Holidays were good. I mean, yeah, like fasting and chasing a toddler is not a combination that I recommend, but I got through it.
A parent at work today, I was like, "Oh, were you at Tat Yom Kippur? How did it all go?" It's a dad, he has twins, and he's like, "Yeah, but I was fasting and I couldn't get them there." But that was Saturday morning at like 9:30. I was like,
really
"How were you
funny.
doing at night?"
It's like you weren't really fasting yet. Let's be honest.
Like 9:30. Like sometimes I haven't eaten yet. Like I've had
Yeah.
coffee, which makes a huge difference. But like
Sure. It's like a late
9:30? That was
breakfast. I mean,
funny.
like, right, that's funny. Wait, didn't you lead some service?
Oh yeah, the family services at my shul.
How was it?
Okay, great. I'm really glad we went over it though on the podcast because it really helped me kind of get my head in the
Zero in.
game.
Okay, good.
Zero in, and the liturgy part kind of threw me, but no, it was great. So many people came. The vibes were great.
So nice.
I led it with the music teacher at Jonah's school, like the
Oh,
person who directs Binny's plays that she's in, and the person who directs her performing arts game. So the two of us created a whole set, and we were
awesome.
each on a mic, and we were just doing our thing. Two totally
Great.
different sets for Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur.
Oh, you did
Because you know
Yom
all
Kippur
the,
too?
oh yeah, Yom Kippur also.
Whoa, look at you. Holy
By the way, that
moly.
is hard. That is kind of hard. Not because of the fast, but like it's not. I don't think I had a headache because of the fast, but I had a headache probably because of the coffee
Yeah,
situation.
of
You know
course.
how people like Jews do this like slow release Advil, slow release. Like, have you ever dabbled with any of this for the fast?
No, but I was a few years ago. We were in New Jersey for Yom Kippur, and we had some like like from Crown Heights folk there, and one of them was like to me right before. She's like, "I have some caffeine suppositories in the
Yes.
fridge. You're
Yes.
welcome to take one." And I was just
Yeah.
like, "Thank you," but I did not take one. I just that's
So you just
it's intimidating to me.
to me too, but like you, not us, obviously, because we're intimidated by this as we're saying, but the concept is that you're putting caffeine up your butt.
Yeah, you're putting caffeine up your butt, and it like absorbs into your system and takes away the headache. Ostensibly, I don't
But
know
you have to do that before the fast. All right,
Um,
I didn't know the details. I have heard about this, the Frum family. I've heard about the caffeine butt situation. I thought it was before the holiday, but okay. And then the slow release Advil, interesting. I could see that
oh,
helping.
slow release Advil to treat the headache from no caffeine or from no food or whatever.
Exactly.
That makes sense.
I'm
I
intrigued because
also
my head
feel
really
like
hurt.
there's also an overlap between the like from world and the like the from fasting world and the like designer IV world, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Like I think you know how there's I think that's like a wellness thing that people get IVs brought to their home and they get some cocktail of like electrolytes and what have you. I think some people also get that. Some from people will get that on a fast day.
Wow.
I mean, that's
That
also like
somehow
the whole.
seems like cheating a little bit. Okay.
It just seems very extreme. Like it seems like an extreme response to just not eating for a few more hours. But I don't know. It's
This
really hard for some people.
it is hard. Also, the timing of it was so much better this year. It ended at 7.
Yeah. Because it's later in the year. That was better.
Great. A
Agreed.
plus. A plus.
Yeah, it was like a full hour earlier than last year. I think
Really made a
that's an
big
important hour.
difference.
Agreed. Completely agreed.
Yeah, it was yeah, you're right about kids and fasting. But Benny this year was like, I'm fasting. I'm gonna try it. I was like, Ben, come on, it's not for kids. Just the best thing to do is just to think about, ways to be a better person, focus on the meaning of the holiday, not about the fasting. Like it's really not about that. And luckily in the morning, she's like, I think I want a cheese stick. I was like, great.
Yeah, like I think at like 4:30, right before we're gonna go back to shul for the last whatever hour, I was giving Sammy like a yogurt or something, and he was like, "I think after this yogurt, I'm gonna keep the rest of the fast." I was like, "Okay,
Great.
good, 2 hours."
That's really cute. I brought
Yeah,
my
it's
kids
cute.
back for the end also. Jonah's obsessed with his shofar. Like really like
Aw,
it's like he sleeps with it. My shofar. He's always talking about his shofar. And so when I got back, it was 6 something, and I was like, do you guys want to go back to shul? I could bring you to hear the shofar at the end of the holiday. Does that sound like fun? They both wanted to. So
so
we went
sweet.
back.
Yeah,
By the time, and I guess a lot of people had that idea. By the time I got back, there were tons of kids that weren't there when I left a couple minutes earlier.
yeah. Everyone
Really
crowds
fun.
in for the last like 10 minutes or
So
whatever.
fun.
Yeah, it's nice. Feels good.
It was great. They handed out glow sticks for Havdalah, and all the kids like cracked
Oh,
glow sticks and got on the bima for Havdalah. A guitar came out after. It was so fun.
so cute. That's great. That sounds
It
really
was
nice.
it was really nice. It ended up really being very fun in the end because I was so like I was tired and grumpy and really couldn't wait to eat. But then I
Sure.
was like, wow, this is great. I forgot that I was fasting altogether. Get me up
Love
on
that.
well, let me see all these kids with glow sticks swaying. We were just talking
Totally.
about Abdullah last episode.
Well, that's right.
It was
Havdalah is a
great.
huge highlight. Havdalah is like one of the best ritual. Like
Oh, it's major spiritual high.
it's very sexy also, now that I think about it.
Very. Besamim?
The samim, you got a little wine, everything's dark, there's one candle. And
Oh,
aren't you supposed to hold that candle up like as high as like the height of your husband? Did you ever do
oh,
that?
that sounds vaguely familiar. I've seen, yeah, that does sound familiar.
Because I remember I would always make a joke, like people would, because girls would hold it like really high, but I'm pretty short, so I would always kind of be like, like kind of adjust it, like, nah, you know.
Yeah, no, you're right. Havdallah's super sexy. And there's actually a Havdalah scene in Nobody Wants This, the show that we have not reviewed and will not be reviewing. And you know
Right.
what, Mal? I thought about it. Everyone else has.
It's all
We're
been
good.
said, I think. Yeah, you're right.
It's
I
all
totally
been
agree.
said.
Yeah.
You know, we could talk about it, but the thing is, everyone else is already doing it.
Right.
But there is a Havdalah scene.
I like, oh, that's great. I'm
Yeah.
glad they capitalized on that.
Yeah, there's a Havdalah scene. It's like could have been perfected, but it was there.
All right.
Yeah.
I do
yeah.
think we need to just have a quick Jonah Platt
Yeah,
segment.
me too.
Because there's been some developments that need to be addressed.
Yeah. Okay. Well, his podcast is underway. He has hit the ground running.
It's up and running. Oh, yeah. I mean, noteworthy to me was that, I mean, I follow not just Jonah Platt, obviously, but now his account he has just for the podcast.
Of course.
And he cross posts, obviously. But the one of the latest ones he had, I guess, like his rabbi on, who I think is a well-known conservative rabbi in LA. And the little video segment that they posted on Instagram was the rabbi explaining why it's okay for Jews to get tattoos.
Jonah needed that.
That's like become a big, part of his public personality. So that's like a critical piece.
Love that. I can't wait to go back and watch that clip. I missed it.
Oh yeah. It's there. The
Okay, I
rabbi's
missed it.
like, it's cute. Yeah.
Okay, I can't wait to see it. And also he went to Israel for the anniversary of October 7th.
I saw that. And he
And I
was
was
doing
like,
all the thing. He went on all the tours and
Ah.
like,
Jonah. I just, he's a special guy.
he
He
he's got
couldn't be
it all.
here.
I
He
mean,
couldn't
like,
be. He couldn't be here for
no.
October 7th.
He had to be with our
Yeah.
people. I mean, like,
Yeah,
come on.
I get it.
Yeah, totally. So it's
I get it. So yeah, swoon.
big time.
Yeah.
Well, our book tonight is also set in LA.
It is. I mean, our listeners know this, but Molly and I don't talk about the books or really anything between the episodes.
If one of
So
us sends
we
a
want to.
text, if we have a back and forth that's more than like 2 lines, one of us is like, save it for the pod.
Literally. And so we do.
Yes.
I wanted to talk about, I'm so excited to talk to you about this.
I really am
Because
too.
I'm dying to know if you picked up on something I picked up on.
What?
Well, okay, we're reading Olive Days.
Olive Days. It's a debut novel. It's her first novel.
Yeah. And it's written by Jessica Elisheva Emerson.
Yes.
It's set in Pico Robertson in LA, as Malya mentioned. And another book that Malya and I read this year, not for the podcast, but I think it's come up on an episode or two, is All Fours by Miranda July.
Yes.
And I think this is like from All Fours.
Ah. That's a great out. That did not occur to me at all, but I think you might be right.
Because this is another not a romance.
I was going to ask, that was my question to you. Like, is this in any way a romance? You're definitively no.
Well, it's just like,
It's too dark.
to me, this is like a woman's journey
Right.
through, I'm not saying it's a midlife crisis. Like whatever All Fours was, this is to me.
Just sort of like getting to a stage of questioning sort of like the assumptions you've made and the choices you've made. Like the assumptions you've made about maybe what a woman is supposed to do and be.
Yeah, and then, like, exploring that through a lot of sex
Right.
outside of your marriage, even though you have kids and a life and
Right.
live in California. I don't know. It's like
Right. I mean, this didn't have the like sort of like
absurdist.
surreal absurdist, thank you, like element as it did have little bits
It
of
did
just like
have some of it.
it did. You're right. Not in the sort of over the top way that all fours did.
Of course, like
But
Miranda July is the ultimate kook.
right.
But by the way, I kind of feel like the last line of All Fours was like something about Kabbalah or Hanukkah or Judaism. And I was like, Miranda July obviously has a Jewish parent, and like this book was Jewish all along. Did you realize that at the end of All Fours?
No. The
Yeah, at the
last
very,
line was
very
something
end.
Jewish?
Yes.
Huh.
Yes. We have to go back to that. I
Okay.
can't, yeah, yeah. Okay. But then, so, but this, like, this is this main character this is an Orthodox woman and an Orthodox family.
Yeah, could we just talk a little bit about like what brand of from this is? Because
Yes, I do
I
want,
got a little stuck on that, and I was a little confused by like what. So first of all, I know Pico Robertson is the Jewish section of LA, but I don't know LA or like what I'm supposed to be signaled. Like I don't know what this community is. Maybe it's a real community, and if I knew it, I would just get it, but I don't.
I think that's true. I was there once to eat at a kosher deli, but I wasn't like in the community. So like it's not like I
Right.
had a Shabbat meal there or went to a shul there. But like when I told the family I'm reading a book, it takes place in LA, they were like, so I said, they were, oh yeah, in Pico. Like this was like a known thing to like Tanta Selena and like Mitch's aunt, like this
Right.
was it's a known from neighborhood.
Right.
But okay, do you know how like there's modern Orthodox, but then there's like Brooklyn modern Orthodox? I don't mean like brownstone Brooklyn. I mean like Flatbush Brooklyn
Sure.
that like feels like not like Crown Heights Lubavitch, but like there's I'm not describing it right.
I guess I was gonna say they
Not
don't seem so,
yeshivish,
but they're not modern Orthodox. I feel like they're more from than
more
modern
yeshivish than
Orthodox.
modern, except were
Yeah.
you stuck on the fact that they were like liberal voters? Like they were also proud to have voted for Obama. And is that like, was that a disconnect for you? Because you thought if they were yeshivish, they would have been more right wing?
Yeah, and also the degree to which the husband was involved in the like get stuff. Like the main character's husband, and it seemed like a lot of the people in the community were very involved in like protesting some guy who was a get refuser. And that
Right.
also just seemed like, I don't know, like a culture where the husband is so involved with that seemed like it would be more modern, but then they didn't seem modern. They seemed pretty from. And also, how
Ex-
come that none of the women worked? Like that also threw me. Like I thought in a modern Orthodox community, women work. It seemed like all her friends were all stay-at-home moms.
Okay, but we're also forgetting what happens on the very first page, which also makes us trying to figure out the question mark of what kind of Jew are they, which is they on the very first page, her husband presents her with this idea that he wants to do a wife swap and do a swinger. But it's not like he's not like I want to open the marriage. Like he wants to do a wife swap, which then he changes the name to like spouse swap, which she thinks is funny because he's trying to be like egalitarian about it.
Right. And also, it's not like he wants to open the marriage. It's like he wants to participate in an activity that apparently this frum community does. It's like sometimes we go out to Shabbos lunch, sometimes we go to a wife swap. It's like, right? It's not like this is it's not like this is a transgressive thing that they're doing. Like it sounds like they know a bunch of people who all do this and he wants them to just join in.
Yeah, there's a group of people who were doing this, and there's like a system. Like they all went to someone's house, and there were names on cards, or there was a whole system, like picking names out of a hat.
Yeah, they figured the whole thing out. They had a whole way of doing things.
She agrees. The reason it's not considered to be transgressive in the mind of these men really is that it's not a transgression if they're all agreeing to it.
Yeah, I didn't understand that.
I mean, no, this is all like cockamamie. It's just shenanigans.
It's shenanigans, but it's like it's people who seem to care a lot about the rules, but then like have a very flimsy excuse for breaking a big one. Which I guess
Right.
is the point. But
Right.
yeah,
And so she is not interested in this at all, really, but goes
no.
along with it.
Right.
She seems,
She seems very angry at her husband, very angry that he would kind of, she feels sort of forced into doing this.
yeah, she's somewhat sickened by it and somewhat turned on by it that night,
Yes.
but not in a way that is a turn on, in a way where like her body sort of betrays her, is the way I would describe it.
Yes. And also there's like the guy who she's assigned is just like another from like dad from their community. Like
Right.
it's like a guy she knows.
Right.
And
These
is
are all
gonna
couples she knows.
and are gonna continue to like see again regularly.
Yeah, like at Kiddish.
At Kiddish, at Shabbat meals, at a holiday thing. Like they're in the community.
Right.
And
And
then like
also,
yeah.
I was very struck by this part where she like got assigned a room. All the rooms were numbered, and she was like relieved it wasn't one of the children's rooms. I was like, how am I going to keep reading this book? Like this is only page 2.
Totally. That's like right. That they're assigning their kids rooms to these wife swapping couples is intense.
Wow. It's like this that the what is the spelling bee that you did called?
The Brachos bee?
The Brachos bee. It's like the Brachos bee medal.
Right. Is like hanging on the wall, like
Yeah, it's like
overlooking that.
Chaya, like the
Yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
personalized like
The sitter from their sitter
yeah.
parties right there
Yeah.
on the shelf.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
no, it's bad. That's
It's
really
bad.
bad.
So they have this night. We hear kind of okay a bit about it.
And the
She's
guy, I was just very struck by like the dad's. I guess she's blonde, and the guy who she's assigned's opening line is like, "Does the curtain match? Does the rug match the drapes or whatever?" And I was like, if there's anything less sexy than a from middle-aged dad saying, "Does the rug match the drapes?" I can't think of it. Like that is disgusting.
you're right. That's the biggest ick.
It's
It's the exact opposite of a turn on.
oh my god. I really I was came close to just closing the book. Like
But the thing is, I felt that way throughout this book. Like to me, this wasn't that readable or enjoyable. So I'm very curious. Like
no, it was
I
hard
st-
to read. It was hard
it
to
was
read.
hard to read, and also we just finished a book that was hard to read, and then this book was hard to read. And I didn't think this was going to be, but then as it was happening, and I was like, I have to reframe how I'm thinking about this book. I don't think it's a romance. This is a book about this is more like a Miranda July story in all fours. And it
Yeah, I
changed it
think
for
that's a
me.
good analogy. I also I was expecting it to be a little lighter or a
Oh,
little more fun. It was not fun
no,
or light at any point.
no. So basically, this wife swap. Also, I hate the term wife swap. Like, we've talked about other books with opening up marriages. I read that whole book more about polyamory and like Park Slope. Like,
Oh yeah, yeah,
it's not
yeah.
like I'm not like closed off to reading about this at all.
Right.
But like the term wife swap is so gross.
It's disgusting.
Just gross. I just was so grossed out by it. It was just gross. It was nauseating. But you're right. It was like the whole clientele. I don't know. It's just ugh. So
And also, sorry, but fast forwarding, like in the middle of the book, there's some again, like some Shabbat meal or breakfast or something, and that guy who she had sex with, some other woman's husband in the community is there and talking to her and her husband about whatever, and looks at her, and there's like no intimacy, like there's no anything she says. She's just like, there's no recognition, no anything that they slept
fucked.
together, nothing. It's
Right.
right. Like it's just like it's nothing. It's like a blank look.
Right.
Like she's just another wife who's like whatever. And that
Right.
was like absurd to me. Like I was like, who are these people? How could that be?
Yeah, it's really, really
That was the creepiest part.
creepy. Yeah, creepy.
Yeah.
I thought that's exactly the word I was thinking. But the thing is that this experience basically was the impetus for her to kind of like change the course of her life. So like this experience changed her perception of her marriage, changed her feeling towards her husband, and then and also it changed things for him. And so it like basically like propels her into doing two different things. One is this affair. She does work though, because Anshul is from work.
So she like does a volunteer
Oh,
shift.
okay,
I think
volunteering.
she
Okay,
volunteers
it's
at like a
volunteering. Yeah,
from like a soup kitchen or something.
right. So this Anshul is that's not a name I'm familiar with.
Me neither.
Okay,
Anshul. It
Anshul.
sounds It sounds Yiddish,
Super.
but I'm not familiar with it. Right.
I believe it. I don't think she made it up, but it's like I'm not familiar with the name Anshul.
Anshul. Yeah, it sounds Yiddish, but I've never heard that name.
Me either. Okay, so but the thing is, as I'm describing all this and thinking about this affair, what I'm reminded about is the last book about the marriage box, which is that we're thinking of them as like middle aged, but I think they're actually young married dum-dums. Like I think they were very young.
Right. Did
Which
we learn how old she is?
Which it doesn't justify it. It's just that I don't think that they're as old. Like I think they probably started having kids very young, and that they're like young and immature and frustrated, obviously, but I don't think that Miranda July was like our age.
Right.
In the book.
But this isn't that. It's not a midlife crisis
No.
because she's probably like barely 30.
Exactly.
Right.
But acting much older and exhausted and haggard and all this stuff.
Totally. And just feels middle-aged because she feels like this is her like she sees her whole life.
Right.
Like it's just going to be an endless cycle of what she's doing now.
Right. But the other thing is about like it not being readable is like I don't enjoy reading about just like all the different pains in the ass of like cleaning your house and like prepping food and like getting kids ready and like managing kids' schedules and also managing the Jewish holiday calendar, but also all the cleaning and then back to the food and then this. It's like we're working Jewish women. And like I think we both really like our lives and all the things that we do, but it's like reading about someone else being just like completely over how much they have to do and clean and deal and sick kids and this and that. I'm like, ugh.
Totally. It did do a really good job of depicting sort of like how exhausting the tedium of that can be, especially when you sort of have nothing else going on and feel just sort of like generally alienated from everyone around you, except maybe your children.
Wait, absolutely. You're totally right about that. It was palpable. Like she did a very, very good job.
Yeah.
It's just that
even
as
that
I'm
scene
reading,
when her kid is sick and it's like she gets the bed, she cleans him, she cleans his dish, she cleans the couch, she cleans the doorknob, she washes it off, she washes him again. Just like all the repetitive of just like and that's 5 minutes.
Exactly. But do you think but do you remember in All Fours by Miranda July when she like cleaned the poop off her dog's butt? And it was like the most like intimate scene, but also I've been there with Minnie, and it's like there was basically I just felt a lot of parallels, and also it's like it is just hard to read.
Totally.
But you are right. She did a very good job depicting that. Absolutely.
You can feel the just like the painfulness and the
for sure.
And also the way, I mean, like she seemed to be regularly hosting like 30 people for like Shabbos meals and breakfasts and holidays. And it seemed like a very grueling kind of requirement to just be like a person in this community.
Completely. Yeah.
Making her husband like 3-course meals for like a weeknight dinner. Like, I don't know.
Oh,
just
and
like
the chicken
over
nuggets.
the top.
At a certain point, she's like having an affair because, whatever, TLDR, after the Anshul affair, she goes back to school. She goes to art school. She's this incredible painter. She's in art school and she starts an affair with her professor, the professor of this class. That's basically the bulk of the book. But during that period, she starts to make like worse dinners for her kids.
Right.
And her husband's like so pissed about the chicken nuggets.
Yeah.
Like, oh, come on. They're eating. They're fine. It's protein. He's so upset about it.
Right. Well, the husband's not a sympathetic character.
No. Mm-mm.
Like, that's the thing. And that's the difference because I don't know what you felt, but like in the Miranda July book, her husband seemed pretty great.
Oh, yeah. And the kid.
And the kid was great. Her kids seem they're little kids. The kids seem fine. Yeah. But her husband just seems like a real asshole.
Really,
like,
he was horrible.
Just there's no redeem, and there doesn't seem to be any moment where they have like a night. It's not like, okay, like he wants a wife swap. That's a big deal. But also sometimes they have a nice rapport. Or sometimes they have camaraderie. No, there's none of that. It's just like unrelenting. He's just like just a workaholic,
Who's
self-absorbed
also really into
asshole.
yoga now, and it's like so some other woman, and he's probably doing something with her at yoga.
Right, right, right. And he wants to have another kid, even though, like, again, he like she feels very pressured to have another kid. That's like an ongoing thing.
Yeah.
Um,
Ugh.
yeah, and then there's even a point in the book, like, okay, because right, so so she has like a sort of a brief affair with this like ultra orthodox guy, Anshul, who like seems to very easily again like forget about his own wife and children and just has sex with her on the like floor of the soup kitchen office and
I
now is in love with her
Also, but
also.
it's like I like when books we read or other books that I read off of this podcast have like sex scenes that are hot, chemistry that is sexy, like things that like I just like like Anshul on the floor of this office, like it just was not doing it for me.
Anshul is not a sexy
He
character.
was not sexy at all. Like, and it's not it's not the name. Like there's like so many like Jewish Yiddish names that I like I think are so sexy. It's not the name. It's like
Totally.
Anshul wasn't a sexy dude,
No, no.
and like neither was their sex.
It was not. He was so needy. He was like, and that was the no, like he was like always talking about his wife. Like she was like, I'm gonna start taking an art class. He was like, maybe my wife should take an art class. She was like, fuck you. Like, what are we talking about? Like
Oh,
he was horrible. He
yeah,
was so annoying.
yeah, yeah.
Fine. So then after that, the real sort of like, I guess, if there were a romance in the book, it would be her and the professor, who's like
Right.
who's also in a unhappy marriage,
Yes.
and they have the real, I guess, love affair.
If there's any to be had, that is the one. I don't exactly. Yeah. It that would be the romance of the book.
Right. And I mean, they have a very instant connection, strong instant connection, I
Yes.
guess. And he's very interested in Judaism. Like, remember, there's a whole, he wants to convert. He says, like, I think I was at Sinai. Like, she's like teaching him Hebrew words.
But she's
like,
also like kind of not into her Jewish identity. It's like she's not. She's like, what?
right.
Ooh, I'm sneezing.
Let's see. No, right. She's kind of like, I think the wife swap kind of like brings her to sort of be able to recognize that she's like actually doesn't really believe in God or anything.
Exactly. Like I'm just going through these emotions. Like this is just like this is my life, and like this is all I know. But like I don't know. I don't really like. So when he's like all of a sudden converting. Do you remember how I told you in that book more, the polyamory book in Park Slope, which by the way, she was Jewish too in that book? Like do you remember how I told you that instead of like it feeling like they open the marriage and then there's just like a bunch of like kind of like no strings attached fun sex, it was the opposite. It felt like she was all of a sudden like in all these relationships that were like angsty and exhausting, and there were breakups and there was drama and there's this and there's that. And I'm like, what is the appeal of getting into more complicated, like the dating? So it just felt very unappealing. That's the way I felt about this affair. This affair was not simple.
And it wasn't like positive and nice and happy. You know what I mean? Like you'd think, okay, like you're dragged down with like your baggage with your husband and you're over it and you want like a new chapter. This didn't feel like a new chapter. They both seemed kind of miserable.
Right.
They felt horrible about like they were both racked with guilt. They were both like questioning their identities. Like everything was very, everything was fraud and intense, but not in a happy way.
Right. So it's just like, again, I'm like, between reading about her errands and the house and the sick kid and then reading about this affair, I'm like, it was unrelenting.
Totally. And then like, so then, and there's all the very dark, right? All the sex, there were no like just fun, also like sexy scenes that you could kind of just enjoy. Even between them, all the sex was like again, very emotional and guilt. And then there was a horrible scene where he had sex with his wife and vomited afterward on the bed.
Oh,
That was disgusting.
oh, and I don't like the sneaking, and they have kids, and the thing is, like, all this stuff takes so much time. Like, who has time? Like,
Totally.
I'm sorry.
She
Maybe
has
this,
to make
maybe
Barecas for 30 people. Like, I don't know how she's doing that. That's why she's making chicken nuggets. Something's got to give.
right. Something's got to give. It's the fresh. No more fresh made Barecas from scratch.
Right.
It's hard to
Right. Oh
make
yeah.
that laminated dough.
She was really, you named the most sort of like elaborate from scratch thing, and she was making it.
Yeah, for sure. So I don't know. It's just like this whole. But okay, it's called Olive Days because there were these days where she was in summer camp and she'd like escaped to the olive groves and like
Right. And she
roll.
would like roll on the olives and make prints on her dresses. And what was that supposed to mean? That was like some simple time she wanted to get back to?
Yeah, like I was picturing like almost like a ball pit, but like real life ball pit made of olives on the ground. And she was just like so carefree. She was rolling around on these olives. Like that feeling of being like carefree in a ball pit was how I was envisioning it. Because I don't know. That seems like a fun, playful, carefree thing. Because rolling around on olives, I don't know. You ever heard of
Yeah,
that?
even that. No, I never heard of it, and it didn't sound so great, honestly. Like, if that's supposed to be the carefree heyday that she's trying to get back to, I don't know. That doesn't speak to, that also sounded like lonely kind of and angsty to me.
For sure.
But all right, I mean, I don't know. It meant something to her. So
Yeah, it meant
anyway,
something to
then
her, and
it's
he
like
sort of connected to that when she talked to him about that.
they are very connected. Like they for whatever reason, and I guess ultimately it didn't last, but they felt a very strong connection to each other.
Yeah. It's like they were what
But
the other one needed in the moment, but they were also like in these unhappy marriages and they have children. And
right.
at one point, his son is in a car accident. It's just too
Yeah, yeah,
much.
yeah. There's a lot of drama. And then she gets like ill. Doesn't she gets like listeria from a can or something? She was like, remember she was like eating spaghettios out of a can that
Oh
weren't
yeah, because she had like glorified spaghettios, which I appreciate. Like I grew up like I kept kosher, but like ate dairy out. So like I didn't have things I glorified in my head, but like from talking to people who grew up completely kosher, there's like foods that people glorify in their head.
sure, but you're like, I bet that's spaghettios. Like that would be so amazing.
Exactly. So I
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
appreciated like that little tidbit because that was the thing she really glorified. Made her
Totally.
super sick though.
Yeah, then she cut herself. She had to go to the hospital. She had like a raging infection.
Horrible.
Yeah, a lot of illness.
Was there a
Oh,
food you
and
glorified, like a
I
tray
was
food?
I'm trying to think. I don't Yeah, like I glorify real trafe though. Like my dream is like a meat lasagna with cheese. You know, I love
Yeah.
lasagna. Like
Yeah.
a meat lasagna, with meat and cheese, like or like
Yes.
a like the meat and cheese combo. That's what I
Yes. Yes.
glorify.
Yes.
But I don't have like a brand of something
Yeah,
that
like you want
isn't
to
like
try a Dorito or something.
nah.
Doritos might be kosher. Bad example.
I think a lot of that stuff actually that wasn't kosher when I was a
Is
kid
now.
has become kosher. Like a lot more stuff is just
Yeah.
kosher. I
Yeah.
don't I don't like have anything in my head that I'm like, oh,
Right.
besides actual trafe.
Right. Real trafe. That makes
But I
sense.
get it. I understand it as a concept. Also, I don't like chocolate. I feel like a lot of those things were chocolate. Like the forbidden, like packaged stuff that wasn't kosher back when I
Right.
was a kid.
Right. Right. You know, okay, obviously, everyone we had a similar perception of the book, is what I'm hearing.
Totally. But then wait, but just and then also like weirdly, her husband finds out about the affair, not the actual affair with the art professor, but her affair with Anshul, and like confronts her and is like, and basically she leaves the house and goes to live with her parents. And that was also a weird point. Like her parents kind of sit her down and they're basically like, listen, your husband's an asshole. We all know that. But like, you can't just have an affair. It's like, doesn't give you an excuse to have an affair.
Right.
Which I also thought was crazy. Like, we all know your husband's an asshole? Like, what?
Yeah. That's how bad he was.
He was really an asshole.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
To the point that her parents are like, we know, but you have to just kind of stick with the program. What are you doing?
But then she sort of tries to. It's all ugly. It's all really ugly.
We don't have to summarize the whole plot. I guess the point is she kind of just I think she kind of just winds up back where she started. Am I
Yeah,
wrong?
no, I think she does. I think she does, and yeah, I don't think you're wrong, except maybe now she's painting.
Is she painting?
I don't know, but, like, at least she painted for some time, like
Yeah, that was what I see. That's the thing is I felt like I guess with Miranda July it wasn't. I mean, her character was already very creatively fulfilled. It was
yes.
about exploring sort of like relationships in a different way. This person is not creatively fulfilled. And it felt like she started out on this journey to like rediscover art and like recapture her creative spirit. But instead, she just got sucked into more like relationships with men, like needy men.
Okay,
Like
but she did learn how to masturbate, and by the way, if you remember correctly, in All Fours, Miranda July also had a period in the book where she couldn't stop.
masturbating. That's true.
Mhm. Both characters.
Okay. Well, that's a skill she can she can take with
In
her.
this book, it was with a paperweight.
Right.
Mhm.
Right.
I mean,
I remember that.
I don't think
That might
it's
have been
biggest
the sexiest scene out of all of them, to be
That
honest.
was.
Yeah. Sad. That's not a great commentary.
But I don't think it was meant to be sexy, that's the thing.
No, it wasn't. I think you're right. It was meant to be about her sort of like trying to journey and learn something about herself. But then I think in the end, I don't even know like what did she learn? She decided she agreed that like her role she just had to kind of, I don't know, be what she was expected to be for her children to have like sort of a quote normal life. Like what? Because basically at the end she ends the affair, she goes back to her husband, and then the last time we see her she's like back to the grind, making meals. She's distant from her husband still, but they're living together. And like, oh, and then she sneaks off to go watch the professor like just teaching, and she's just lurking and watching him from afar.
Yeah,
That's the end.
that's the end. I
Okay.
mean, I think, like, her lurking in the classroom is probably, like, that's not exactly over,
Right. Okay.
and her priority maybe is her home and her kids.
Right.
I don't know. I don't know. It's definitely not like Judaism because for the love of the Jewish community or Hashem. It really is like because this
Not a
is
great portrayal of the Jewish community or Hashem. Let's just
no,
say that.
no, it's not. It's not. Back to the initial question of like, what community is this? It's like
Right.
they're not modern.
Right.
It's like just like straight like, but is there just like a community that just like considers themselves to be Orthodox Jews? Like they don't call themselves yeshivish. They don't call themselves modern. The only people I know this way are like maybe live in Baltimore, maybe they live in Passaic, maybe they live in Brooklyn. Like they're modern in that like I don't know. Maybe the guys don't wear like white and black only.
Right.
You know,
They're
maybe
like,
they're not wearing hats or
but they're
I don't
not
know.
quite
I don't know all the
yeshivish, but there's
they're
something in
not quite
between.
yeshivish, but like
Right.
maybe the women are sometimes wearing open-toed shoes. I don't know. I know the toes aren't a thing, but like those yeshivish girls wear those closed-toe shoes always or
Right.
tights. They're always maybe the women aren't always wearing tights.
But none of the women work. Like that also, that felt off to me.
Yeah, I agree with you. Yeah, because in all the modern communities, the women are working.
Or
And
even the
yeshivish
not so
communities, by the
modern.
way.
Yeah, exactly.
In the yeshivish communities, even more so, because the men
I
sometimes
feel like
aren't.
that marriage box book we read about the Syrian community was very like women do not work. That was like a clear sort of
Right.
thing, and I know that
Yeah.
is generally the case in the Syrian community.
Right.
Although I know it's changed somewhat, but
Yes,
whatever.
yes.
I thought really in most other communities, even the really frum ones, that really wasn't the case.
Right,
If anything, the women work more.
right, right. I don't know. Maybe things are a little bit different in LA.
Right. That's what I'm saying. I don't know if it's community, but I did think it was like like the style of like the writing was very good.
Oh, she's a really good writer.
Yeah.
I wanted to like it more than I did. It's like it was more just that like I was exhausted by the storyline.
It was a dark story. Kind of unrelenting.
It
No
was, it was,
humor.
it
No
was, it was,
humor
it
at
was,
all.
it, no, it was unrelenting, and and it was hard to read, and she was a great writer. Whatever she writes next is going to be. It was a not a bad book,
Right.
but
Okay.
it's different. It's like when we read those like off the derech memoirs that you and I both like.
Sure.
This was not that because this was a novel,
Right.
and it wasn't. I don't know.
Right, but it felt a little adjacent to that because it felt like it was sort of trying to expose sort of like hypocrisy in this community, kind of, and someone trying to escape and find like freedom and self actualization.
Right.
So it
Have
had
you
some of the
ever heard
elements.
rumors? Have you ever heard rumors of swinging in Orthodox communities ever in your life?
No, have
I have
you?
once. Yes.
Huh?
Yes. I have heard rumors of swinging in the Orthodox community one time. I never heard a specific like story. I never heard a detailed story of like a person, place, time, nothing like that, but just like rumors of a place that it happened in.
Huh?
Yeah.
I'm trying to think if I've ever heard anything like that. I don't think I have.
Could you imagine like the first from person to be like, I have this idea.
Yeah,
Let's
that's
fuck each
one
other's
ballsy person.
wives.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, it's like, what? How did that conversation even start? And another husband's going to be like, yeah, let's swap wives. What? I just,
I
and
don't
the thing
know.
is, it's fine if it's just like Orthodox people are just like everyone else kind of thing. Like,
I
fine.
guess.
But then, like, it's like everything they're doing is like in the name of God, in the name of Torah. So it's like, it's not really that way.
Yeah, once you have to sort of contort yourself to, yeah, sure, I get it. Like Orthodox people, are like everyone else, in that, like, right, everyone has fantasies, and certain people, if people are into this, they, it doesn't matter what type of Jewish you are or what type of person you are. You want what you want. But once you're like contorting this religion that you're trying to live by to fit that, and you're all kind of doing it together because you're all in the same community, it's like, doesn't the whole thing get kind of rotten? Like, like,
Exactly.
then it's just like, we're all kind of acknowledging to each other that,
This is a farce.
right,
Like we're
right,
here, it's after Shabbos. We all just did Havdalah because we would never do this, whatever on Shabbos or whatever,
right,
whatever the thing is.
totally.
It's
It
like
just starts to
everything
feel
you're doing.
rotten. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, it seems very.
Although I do feel like everything I say about this book and I stand by, it would make kind of like a great like creepo dark like HBO Max or Netflix series.
Totally. It felt very cinematic, and I could see it being very fun to watch.
Yeah. I don't want it to be made on behalf of the Jewish people
Right,
at all
right.
because it's gross, but for Klal Yisrael, but it would be great. It would be a good show.
And I am curious if other listeners have heard tales of from wife swapping.
Yeah, I'm curious too. I've heard it. I have heard. That the term I heard was swinging. I never heard the term from wife swapping. I just want to be clear. I heard
Swinging.
about a swinging situation. To say I heard about it is generous. I heard that a specific town had rumors of it in the past.
I say.
Mm-hmm. And if anyone else heard anything, let us know. Hit us up. We're curious. We're
I'd like to
thirsty
hear
for
that.
some swinging gossip.
Yeah. This is good gossip, that's for sure.
Yeah. There's a podcast called Small Town Gossip where people call in with like very detailed, specific gossip from their town.
That's really
and the
fun.
whole episode is just unpacking just this gossip they're sharing.
That sounds great.
It's
That's
really
great,
good. Small
that's
Town
great.
Gossip.
I'm looking that up. That's
awesome.
awesome.
I think you'd like it. I think you guys would like it. And I think Bobby and Arthur would like it. Small Town Gossip.
Oh, totally.
Yeah. Check it out.
I would like to hear some of that that's specifically from swinging.
Exactly. Yeah. From swinging. Yeah. Yeah, for sure. But this, reminds me of, about like Mormon Mom Talk and the Mormon Mom Talk show on Hulu.
I know about like Mormon mommy bloggers and influencers. Yeah.
But did you know about the swinging and that there's a Hulu show? Any of that?
No. I
Oh,
knew
okay.
one of
So
them got arrested for child abuse.
Frankie, Taylor, Frankie, Paul.
I don't know.
Oh, God, too much, too much. Anyway, back when I was up on my TikTok,
Right.
when I was on the TikTok wagon, I was getting a lot of Mormon mom talkers, and while I was watching all those TikToks, they were filming a Hulu series that came out like a couple
Wait,
weeks
and what
ago.
are the TikToks? It's like trad wife like stuff? Or
That
what
was
is it?
after. That was after. They were just like doing dances, and they all looked the same, and they had these crazy hair extensions and fillers. They all had the same exact look, same outfits, and then all of a sudden one day on TikTok, this person you're thinking about was like, we're all sleeping with each other's husbands. We're all soft swinging. I'm just like going to come out and
What does
say
that
it
mean?
like
Soft swinging.
it means no sex, I guess.
Oh.
Like everything else.
Wow.
EBS,
Jeez.
as the guys I went to high school with called it. Everything but sex.
EBS.
EBS.
Right. EBS.
Um,
Did you read the Long Island Compromise, by the way? Because that was.
do you
Did you
think
read
we
it?
should read it for this? I feel like we've read too many non-romances. Let's
It's not a romance
I know
at
it's
all.
not. I know
like
it's
not
not. I
even,
know.
not
I know.
even remotely.
I know.
But the Long Island. But just did you read it?
No. It's about great
Well,
neck.
it's about yes. Well, it's about. I wanted to bring it up to you because one, it does that exact thing that you've commented on repeatedly, which is it talks about a town that's clearly Great Neck, but it calls it a different name.
Yes, so
it's
weird.
like an affluent town in Long Island.
No, it's
lots
Great
of
Neck.
Persians move in. Like
Yeah.
it is Great Neck.
Yeah, it's great neck.
But it's for some reason called Middle Rock.
So silly.
So I was like, why not just call it Great Neck?
I don't get it. Why?
No idea. So weird. Like it would do so much to just be like, okay, we all know Great Neck. It's Great Neck. Like that
Right.
puts you ahead. Why make up a whole, have to create a whole fake
Wackadoo.
world? Yeah, I don't know. But the Long Island Compromise is referencing like one of the characters in the book trying to get it on with, like, in this case, it's Catholic girls, and they want to like have anal sex because they have to stay virgins.
Yes, but that
So the
came up in
compromise
this
is
book.
anal sex.
That came up in this book also. And yeah.
Well, that came up in this book because the husband just liked anal sex.
No. She says that something about how she was a from girl in camp, and so they figured out all sorts of ways to like do stuff.
Oh.
Yeah.
I think I missed that.
Yeah.
There was a scene though where she like basically bribed her husband with anal sex to do something. I forget what.
Yes, there was something about that too. That's what the Long Island Compromise is. Yeah.
Long Island Compromise is anal sex because you're religious.
Yeah. Yeah. I once raised my hand in Neve, you know, that like Kirov, you know what Neve is?
Of course. Yeah.
It's like for our listeners, it's like a girls' school in Israel to make young non-Orthodox girls become extremely religious.
Yes.
Extremely
exactly
religious.
Yes.
And it's like brainwashy and
I think they try to marry you off kind of quickly too.
very quickly, because then you're more likely to stay.
Yeah.
And I've gotten myself into many different situations in Israel specifically, but also in the city, in Kirov institutions who like would try to do that to me a little.
Sure.
Okay.
Lock
I'm
you
sure
in.
many people have, but like I've been in those situations often. And one time in Neve, I raised my hand and I basically asked about the Long Island Compromise.
How did that go over?
It was not well received.
Right. We don't know from the Long Island Compromise.
It was not well received, and which was not fair because I was not making it up. An entire book is called this.
Of course.
This is a thing.
Obviously. Of course.
And they made it seem like I'm some perv who got misinformed. And I was like, I didn't get misinformed. I understand that this is a, interpretation of the Torah.
Right. It's not being taught at Neve as a technique.
It's not being taught at Neve as a technique.
No.
Yeah.
Well,
anyway,
that was a bad move, but I mean, they lost a potential notch in their belts there, so they played that one wrong.
Okay, so anyway, that was Olive Days.
Yep.
And, I think we need to get back to just real romance.
Yeah, definitely.
A couple weeks ago, we had talked about reading Girl Meets Goy by Aviva Gat.
Yes.
Are we interested in checking it out?
I think so because it feels more like a light and fun vibe, which I think you're saying, and I agree. We could use.
Okay, should I read you the description?
Yes.
Okay, Leah Rosenberg moved to New York City to pursue her journalism career and hopefully meet a nice Jewish boy, but her plans are derailed when Gabe saves her on the subway platform. Handsome, romantic, intelligent, and ambitious, he's perfect in every way, except for one. When her Jewish ex-boyfriend reappears, Leah faces a dilemma. Should she date the guy who gives her butterflies, even if he goes against everything she's ever known? Or should she play it safe and rekindle her past relationship? Join Leah as she explores the happy hours, high rises, and holidays of Manhattan while she figures out if marrying Jewish is more important than following her heart.
See, now that sounds up our alley.
It's going to be good.
Good. I'm excited.
I'm excited. So that's what we're reading next if you're reading along with us. And we have a live coming up at the Ripped Bodice.
December 12th, right?
I feel like I keep getting the date wrong.
No, it's December 12th.
It's December 12th, but it's not in our shared calendar.
Oh, well, we have to rectify that.
It's definitely that date, right?
It's definitely that date.
Okay.
Yeah,
We're really
I'm looking at it right now.
Okay. It's going to be great.
Great.
Live at the Ripped Bodice. Come see us. Hanukkah Erotica Live. We're going to be
Yes, December 12th. We're so excited.
We're going to be reading something. We're going to be gabbing. We can't wait to see you again. People
We
who
may have other
who didn't come to the
surprises in
first
store.
one-
We'll continue to share.
Exactly. And if you didn't come to our first one, feel super comfortable environment. You'll get to meet us. It's great.
It'll be really fun. We're going to chat about a book. We're going to hang out. It'll be great.
It'll be great. I can't wait. I can't wait to do it. It was so much fun. And this podcast is produced by William Levin. It's sponsored by Hanukkah Pod, available at newesttraditions.com. Our listeners get a discount on any purchase on Newest Traditions by entering promo code Hanukkah Erotica, HANUKKAHEROTICA. And anything else you want to share? Rate us, follow us, leave us a review, send us a DM. We'll see you next
Please
time.
do. Good night.
Good night.